I don't advocate legalizing this conduct. I advocate not spending $50,000 a person to put them in prison and make it more likely they'll commit crime again.
According to Deputy District Attorney Steve Ipsen, our prisons are filled with nonviolent offenders who shouldn't be there. And he says our current system of reducing sentences to solve the prison overcrowding problem is counterproductive.
I think the public first needs to understand we're not doing our job. We may be prosecuting people, but when we sentence them to 180 days in jail, if they're not doing that time, they're not being punished. They're learning that crime does pay because there's no punishment. So when you have overcrowding on the scale that we currently have it, we are failing to punish, and that is having a great impact. The criminals know the system is a joke. They know there's no punishment, and that is a great threat to public safety.
His proposal is to stop felonizing nonviolent crimes.
We have trivialized what it is to be a felon by not recognizing the tremendous impact it has after the conviction. And the labeling of a person, the branding of someone a felon should not be the punishment. The punishment should be when the judge says 10 days jail, you do 10 days jail, not 2 days jail. You should do the full 10 days jail and then have a chance not to have a felony conviction if you behave yourself for a year and work hard.
He suggests that the pursuit of felony convictions by the District Attorney's Office isn't helping to reduce crime, which is the ultimate purpose of our entire justice system.
So I think we're being counterproductive with the idea that if we get a conviction, we've done something good. And why have we been doing this? I think it's because people haven't thought about it. I didn't think about it for 25 years. I thought I was doing good. I got a conviction. Look at our stats. Look at how many felony convictions the DA's office had last year, 130,000. We must be doing a great job until you realize, wait a minute, 130,000 people are now felons. When they apply for a job, their application says felons. It's harder to get a job. And then you say, we've got 12% unemployment. You've created unemployable people. And that's part of our unemployment problem. Just as if you cut the legs off of 130,000 people, they're unemployable.
Mr. Ipsen gave a specific example.
Last Thursday, a young person, possession of marijuana for sale. And there's no doubt this person was guilty. The police officer or the deputy sheriff stopped them, and I think the person had a few bindles of marijuana, and they admitted, I lost my job and I was selling it. So they admitted that. No prior criminal record. What our office is doing, and we think is sort of lenient sentences, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days in jail, 3 years felony of probation. In reality, that person will perhaps do a week or 2 weeks in jail, very little time, but they end up being a felon for life because possession of marijuana for sale is a lifetime felony that can't be reduced, can't be expunged from your record. So what I ask my friends now is, now this person is a felon for life, is it going to be harder or easier for them to get a job? And it's obvious it'll be more difficult. Every job application asks if you have a felony conviction. So we've just taken a 19-year-old who's absolutely committing a crime. I don't approve of marijuana use. I don't approve of marijuana sales. I consider that person dealing drugs. They, with certainty, have committed a crime, which in California is a felony. Now, it's more difficult for them to get a job. Is it now going to be more or less likely they'll commit another crime? And I think it's pretty clear it's more likely they'll commit another crime. And that's part of the path towards recidivism.
The difference in his proposal is realigning where the aim of prosecution should be focused.
We are going to prioritize public safety, and that the people that we're putting in prison or in jail are going to be those that compromise your safety. The public also needs to know that these public welfare crimes, that possessing drugs for sale or shoplifting is not going to be tolerated, but we have a different approach. And that, I'll call that reform first, which is you will be arrested, you will be incarcerated. Any sentence you get will be a real sentence, and that's truth in sentencing. But we will give the person an option. If they want to plead guilty and work for an entire year, that they can avoid incarceration because their punishment is hard work and paying taxes.
Mr. Ipsen gave an example of how he's implementing reform first right now.
I have 2 individuals right now, and I have a number of people I've done this with, but one is a young couple in their 20s, no prior criminal record, and without a doubt they were drug dealers. They had, I believe, 40 pills of some sort they were selling, and marijuana. Their phones had text messages for sale and orders they were placing. That was their economic enterprise. That was their business. we like business. Selling is good. Sales is a great occupation, unless it's drugs or stolen property. So the desire by human beings to sell things and get money is a good one. When it's drugs, we need to discourage it. So with these two, I made them that offer. They came back a month later, both with jobs at Hometown Buffet. My view is that they're not drug dealers. No drug dealer is willing to work at Hometown Buffet clearing dishes and scraping dishes and cleaning up and vacuuming Hometown Buffet in order to avoid the label of being a drug dealer. These two could have done a week or two in jail, accepted the label of drug dealers, and been done with it. But instead, they had a desire to avoid that path in life. And so by my definition, they're not drug dealers. Drug dealers don't do that.
Reform First makes the perpetrator responsible for either working off the felony for an entire year with the threat of a substantial prison term if there's another offense, or taking the easy way out with the usual discounted sentence and the felony label. Apparently, real criminals don't mind the big F label.
So in my judgment as a prosecutor, the mere fact that they did sell drugs and possess drugs for sale doesn't mean they're drug dealers. The fact that they would choose to work for an entire year scraping dishes, clearing dishes, and vacuuming the floor at a Hometown Buffet demonstrates that though they committed the crime of a drug dealer, they don't want to be drug dealers. And unless we brand them, limit their economic options by making them unemployable as felons, they're likely to reform. And if we reform them first, it's a lot cheaper. We don't have to house them in prison at $50,000 a year using our tax money. We can use that money to house people that commit robberies, people that assault our families, people that invade our homes that currently are that we don't have enough jail space for.
But these people are being arrested for what society believes is a felony. Aren't they getting away with their crime?
To the degree that they're not being sent to jail for possessing marijuana for sale, I guess you could say they got away with one. But I think that they got away with it in the sense that they decided to put themselves at risk and face state prison time if they failed in this opportunity to conform their conduct. And I think we benefit far more by giving them the chance to reform first than demanding punishment in every case. So,
his Reform First puts the burden on the perpetrator.
We just need to slow down, look at people one at a time, look at their behavior, give them an opportunity, and if it doesn't jeopardize our family's safety, let them out of jail and say if you work and you behave yourself, you won't be a felon. If you let us down, then you'll be sending yourself to state prison. That is what I think is the solution at this time.
We want to know what you, the viewers, think. Please respond to our survey and be sure to leave your comments below. Number 1. Do you think this is a solution for our prison overcrowding problem? Yes or no? Number 2. Do you think it is a good idea to allow people who have committed non-violent felonies a way to avoid being labeled as felons? Yes or no? And number 3. If Mr. Ipsen puts his Reform First proposition before the voters as an initiative, would you support it? Yes or no? Please be sure to leave your comments below. I'm Leslie Dutton. Thank you.